Three, two, one. Here we go. We're talking about something very dope with our buddy Ned GREENOUGH. This is DJ Right Shoe. We're just gonna jump right in. So, Ned,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about what exactly is coming up with you at the beginning of May?
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of shows coming up. At the beginning of May, we have Mad Fest, which is going to be put on by SUNY Potsdam's record label, Mad Stop Records. There's a ton of artists coming in. I think we have around like 11 or 12 or something like that, which is
lineup.
Huge lineup, very big, including myself and a lot of my fellow recording colleagues. It's going to be really cool. It's going to go like all day from, I believe, 10 to 10, I think. Yeah. And it's going to be really awesome. Definitely come out and see it if you can. It's going to be right behind the Student Union. It's going to be pretty wild. There's a lot of different types of music, from like rap to singer-songwriters to like big bands and small bands, and everybody's part of it. It's pretty cool. So
it's going to be exciting. I guess I'm kind of helping put it on. A little background on Mad Fest. Mad Fest. We started that one time my freshman year, and ever since I've been trying to push for it, but not really doing anything. So our very vital e-board member Haley has been pushing for it, so that's why it's happening. So it's very exciting.
Whoa!
And if you're not new to campus, you've probably heard Ned GREENOUGH perform quite a bit.
maybe
Probably one of the core bands on campus, I'd say.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Because there's so many individual musicians these days. I feel like bands used to be a lot bigger, but now it feels like we have so few.
Yeah. There's not too many like bands. There's a lot of very talented individuals that kind of do their own little thing. But yeah, there's really only about a handful of like groups. So it's kind of, and I think we're seeing a bit of a resurgence of that. So I think that's good that, there's more people coming together and talking to their buddies and saying, let's get a band together,
Yeah. I'm hoping that in promoting this live event, and not just through Mad Stop, through Way as well, we'll get to that a little bit later. Oh, surprise. But I'm hoping to kind of bring a resurgence of that, because I know just around like 2 or 3 years ago, there were so many bands and then it started to die out. So I'm excited to see that there are so many bands that are ecstatic about getting an event like this up off the ground. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
But yeah, so out of curiosity, because, I know you've performed by yourself before.
Yeah.
Were you in a band before Potsdam, or was it kind of just like, you knew you wanted to record and wanted people to record with you, and then it kind of just happened?
I was in, throughout high school, I was in a variety, I guess, a couple bands, if you will. A lot of them were my friends and I that were getting together for, like, our school did a homecoming bonfire and a talent show.
Yeah.
And what we did is that we would prepare, myself and a bunch of like my friends, that like we had a drummer and we had a bassist that was like okay, and like a friend of mine that was like learning guitar. And what we would do is that we play like these events. We wouldn't practice until like the day before. And what I remember at a lot of the times is that we'd end up playing each other's instruments for different songs.
Yeah.
Where like, well, the drummer wants to sing this song, so we need someone to play drums. I'm like, well, I'll play drums for that song. And then someone's got to play keyboards. It's like, well, he can play that. So we would end up just kind of rotating. And it was always kind of a mess. It wasn't really a real band. Yeah. We'd only play it those 2 other times. And then besides that, I had a good partnership with a very close friend of mine in high school. And we did a piano and acoustic guitar kind of duo. And we did that towards the end of high school. And that was a lot of fun. That was just kind of the 2 of us. And we had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, that was kind of, so when I came to college, it was kind of a better opportunity to really get my hands dirty with like a big band of like musicians that know what they're doing, have written songs before, can give creative input, can practice on a weekly basis instead of meeting, the day before you're supposed to perform. So it was a big change, and it was a lot of fun, and it still is a lot of fun. We have a lot of good chemistry,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
we've had to. Our original guitarist, Michael, great guy, love him to death. Um, he's not on campus anymore, so we had to get a new guitarist. And her name is Haley, and she's awesome. So we've had a couple lineup changes already, but it's a lot of fun. It's really cool.
Yeah. I think that's something that kind of sets you apart from all these other bands is I'm so used to, going to house shows, but also just going to events on campus and seeing a lot of, I think punk and ska used to be huge at Potsdam.
Yeah.
And even still now, there's indie. So it's kind of interesting. Your Done show kind of especially sticks in my mind just because it was such a stunning like venue. But you guys just sound like I don't hear ever like any mistakes. You know what I mean? You guys and
I'm glad you don't.
Not that that's the problem. It's just when it comes to punk, I feel like as someone who's been in a punk band, you get on stage and you just have fun. You make a mistake, it's funny.
Mhm.
With you guys, you sound like, I kind of I guess associate you with like bands like Rush. That's just like such an unbelievable like mixture of sound that's live.
I think a lot of that.
Before.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that greatly. I think a lot of that has to do with the genre. I grew up. I didn't listen to punk music. I didn't listen to any music. In fact, I really don't like a lot of indie music.
That's wild.
I know it's crazy. There's like a couple artists like, yeah, but like whenever anyone says like, oh, I like indie this, indie that, I have to roll my eyes a little. But and there's nothing against it. It's just not my music. It's just something I didn't grow up with. And in college, like I love seeing those bands, the punk bands, because they're a lot of fun. They're fun, and it's like you can dance to it, and you can just kind of like have fun with it. Which sometimes I wish the music I wrote was kind of like that sometimes, because a lot of the time it isn't. But it adds a different dynamic of, instead of like, oh, we're going to go see a band and we're going to have fun. It's kind of more like what I try to do. We try to like put on a show.
Yeah, for sure.
Of like you mentioned with the Done show. I really like that venue because it felt and it looks like, a theater. Like if you were to go see a concert, you would see it in a venue like that, where, there's aisles and like the stage is up here, and it's not, I love Hurley's, but, it's a very kind of different atmosphere, you know? So I think a lot of that has to do with the genre difference, because, in kind of the music that myself and the band plays, there's not really a lot of room for mistakes, because if there is like mistakes, then it's you can hear it very clearly. And everything's kind of very tight and precise. And as we've grown as a band, it's gotten more tight and precise, where, we'll drill these things over and over again and make sure they're right. And some songs that we're playing at MadFest and some upcoming shows that we haven't played before are very difficult. They're hard songs. There's like time signature changes. And now I've got a new setup now with an additional keyboard. So I'm like switching between sounds on that and the other one. So like my hands are like here and there at the same time. And it's kind of your mind's kind of in multiple places at once, instead of, okay, we're going to, I'll play the chords on the guitar and I'll sing and, follow me. And, it's a lot different, but it's so much fun nonetheless. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, when I found out that you were kind of dual wielding keyboards, it's like pretty wild.
Yeah, it was something exciting. I've wanted to do, and we have this other keyboard in Matt Stop that no one's using. In fact, I don't know who put it there, but it's been there for a while.
That was yours, actually. I was wondering why that was
It's there. Not, yeah. So I thought, well, I have this really old Casio at home that I can bring out for Haley to play, because she plays organ on a song that we play live. So that there's 3 keyboards on stage. I thought, well, I can bring my old Casio out for her to play during the song, and I could use this other part for lead parts, because typically, on the record, there's a lot of other sounds going on. There's electric piano, there's organ, there's all these synthesizers. But when we do it live, everything is grounded in the piano. Yeah. So when we play the songs live, typically I can only play the piano part, because it pretty much is the rhythm section, and the guitar takes all the lead stuff. So I figured, well, if I give her the old one, like my old one, I can use this for lead sections, and we can kind of add another dimension to the sound. That way it's not just piano, guitar, drums, and bass. So we can use that. And we haven't used it yet live, but we will be next week at Way Day.
Yeah.
Which, look at that.
Another
That's
exciting
pretty
show
cool.
coming up.
So yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. So I'll be using it then, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think it's adding a cool new dimension to everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm pretty, not to, kind of derail onto Way Day, but now that you bring it up, not to shameless plug, but I'm excited for Way Day because we're getting quite a few diverse. I mean, we're getting a ton. I mean, there's only 4 acts, but they're all completely different from each other, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. It's going to be very fun.
It's going to be a wild day, and hopefully get a bunch of people, I mean, out of curiosity, because I know that at Second Glance is going to be, providing stickers. Have you considered / do you have like merch for your band?
I don't yet. And that is because I've been really focused on the record right now because we're currently I'm currently recording the album, which should be out in September-ish. That's not officially announced, but that's the way things are looking right now. Because I have considered it. My plan is to make CDs for this album, and like stickers and stuff too. The thing with stickers though is that with a sticker you have to have like something to put on it, and
that's true. Yeah,
that there has to be kind of some sort of logo marketing, like like brand recognition with that. Yeah. And part of me is like, well, I don't really know if I was to make a logo. I don't really know what that would be. So it's something I have thought about and something that is kind of down the line, but I haven't. It's not my top priority right now.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But I would like to do it because like Joey Small, he does his he's got his ultraviolet catastrophe chapstick.
Yes,
which I think is great. That's awesome.
Stunning.
I mean, if you go see an artist and he plays a good set and then he's like, hey, not only can you get my CD here, you can get my chapstick.
Keep your lips healthy.
Exactly. And that's great. Like, I think that's an awesome marketing strategy.
Yeah. Like, it's like silly, but it's smart because it's like, it's something that you're going to remember.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And like giggle about later, but like, you're going to remember.
You're going to have that in your back pocket, like, months or maybe even years from now, and you'd be like, Joey Small.
This guy. What's he doing now?
Your chapstick. I lose it the day after I get it. I'm just like, oh, don't have it anymore.
I actually unfortunately did lose my Joey Small chapstick as well.
He's got a bunch. He gives them away for free.
No, I'll have to
go get him.
Go see a show.
Him down. Maybe he'll be on the show a little bit later on to talk about same event we talked about earlier. I was going to try to be mysterious, but it's literally just MadFest. But
it's just MadFest.
But yeah, no, I'm jealous I didn't think of something silly. I mean, I think everyone does, stickers. That's great. Stickers are perfect, but like, I want something silly enough like that.
Hear me out.
Silly and memorable.
Socks.
That would be great.
Socks,
that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like socks have not to kind of go off into a weird direction here.
No, socks don't get enough credit.
People are always like, "Wow, I love your socks," because there's like avocados on them.
Yeah,
or
right?
There's like ducks on them.
Yeah, but what are you gonna put on it? Like your name? Like
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't exactly. I wouldn't want that.
socks.
I wouldn't want to see like someone say, "Oh, I've got your NED GREENOUGH socks."
Oh, you know what they could be? They could be just white socks, and then NED in black, and then green in green, and then O in black.
Oh, okay.
Not funny, but not creative at all. But
wait, hear me out. Those like temporary tattoos.
Yeah,
temporary tattoos. That would be cool.
A few companies do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. Do people still use temporary tattoos?
Oh yeah. You ever
like
seen
the washable ones?
Store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
give yourself like a daily tattoo. Like face tattoo. Just stick it on your face.
I mean, they do stay a few days, so people could be like, "Oh, is that a real tattoo?" No, but this band rocks.
No, but this band is real.
This band is real cool, but. Yeah, I think it's cool to like step outside the socks. There you go. Outside the box.
Outside the socks.
Outside the box. Outside the socks to
Good catchphrase.
Find ways to get your band out there.
Yeah.
Cool ways, because I think this campus is set a certain way where every club on campus is like, yeah, let's do stickers and T-shirts. So you gotta find something wild. No one uses it. You gotta do something wild and find a way to stand out from that. So people pay attention.
Like chapstick.
Yeah. There you
go.
Chapstick. table, hand out chapsticks, clean your lips, keep them nice and
Yeah.
Especially during the winter. I think that was very smart of him because towards starting to get cold,
Yeah.
so my lips get chapped.
Allergies.
But yeah, man. Trying to think of a way to keep this connected to what I'm about to ask, but I can't segue, so I'll just ask.
It's a good transition. All right, go for it.
So I just want to ask a little more about you mentioned not really knowing much about indie and stuff like that growing up. I know you talk about I unfortunately don't remember his names, but I know you loved his album, I believe last year. Sorry, I forgot his name. When I asked
I'll
you
probably
your
cover
album of
him.
the
I'm
year,
sure whoever.
On Bare Bones, something.
Oh,
about,
Steven Wilson's To the
Yes,
Bone.
yes.
Great record. Awesome record.
Is he someone you found more recently, or was he, is he kind of like in the mishmash of bands that like influenced your sound?
He was. I got really into Steven Wilson and his other various projects in high school.
Nice.
And he's he's a newer guy. He makes music newer. People say music's old if it's oh well, it's from 2010. It's so old. To me, old is like 60s. Okay,
Yeah.
that's old. But
It's fairly recent.
if it's above like the 90s, it's still pretty new to me. Yeah, I really got into his music, and he's kind of a modern progressive / art rock musician, and he also delves in a lot of progressive metal.
Yeah.
And I heard it, and I got really into his music in high school, and he does some really great stuff that you don't really hear too often now. And that record that he made, To the Bone, that came out in 2017, really kind of pushed him on a different plane than where it was before. Kind of really kind of increased his popularity outside of just his genre and pool of people.
Yeah.
And it was a big influence to me, especially in production. He does a lot of really cool kind of different little producing things here and there that like you listen to his music, and every time he's one of those artists where whenever you listen to his record, you kind of pick up something new every time. You're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, or I didn't hear that the first time.
Yeah.
And that's something I always kind of try to aspire to in the studio. But yeah, he was kind of one of the more recent musicians I really got into, and you can hear it a little bit in my music. Hopefully not too much, because you never want to be one of those artists that you play your song for someone and they say, oh, it sounds like this.
Yeah.
Or that's what I was so frustrated about with Matter of Time off the EP, is that, and I didn't realize it until after I wrote it, is that I played it for people and they were like, oh, it sounds like, was it Harry Chapman's Cats in the Cradle? I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. I remember.
No.
I remember that conversation.
No, I was so mad. I was so mad. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, and I can't listen to that song now. I wasn't really a big fan of it earlier, but now I really can't hear it because it's very shameful for me.
I like it a lot. I think it's probably the first recorded thing I've
yes,
heard by you.
And I don't know, it was very upsetting. I wasn't too happy about it because it was way after like it was out, and then I don't know, I played it for some people, and I even think when I was demoing it, I think my dad mentioned it when I played it for him, and I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And then like it came out later, and I was like, oh no,
yeah,
he was right. But I won't do that again.
Well, the good news is most of your I think every time I listen, not to sound like I'm kissing your butt or anything, but I mean every time I listen to your music, it's stuff that I just am not. I also don't really listen to that genre nearly as much, but it always just like I'm always like, wow, I've never heard that before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, and like especially, I think I guess it's kind of segueing into a bit of a weird question, but I think we're starting to see, a little more of that artsy stuff. And it might partially be because like, Crane, we do have that on campus, but I think we're starting to maybe transition a little more into that more artsy style of, not just going up and like finding a way to word this, like I said, there used to be a lot of like punk bands here, whereas now we're seeing, artists like you that are, so diverse on stage, and even like like Jackson Cavalier, where he was still here, and Joey, they're not your typical college like students.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess,
No, not at
in
all.
the sense of the music that they're putting out there. So do you think that kind of in the sense of your music kind of raising in popularity here, do you think that that's going to slowly become normalized here? Because you are here, I believe, an extra year or two.
Yeah, I'm a sophomore, so I have
So
I have 2 more years here.
You'll be able to, promote that more as you perform more and meet more people.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say so. I think I wouldn't say I like set the bar or anything. I think it all kind of came very naturally. But I think it's with in like these years, like this class, the following class, the class before, it's just different from previous classes, where I don't want to say take it more seriously, but not that, because I don't want to like discredit anyone, but I think it's more, they're more into it on a different level,
Yeah.
Just because like some punk bands, they play at parties and they have fun, and that's fine and that's cool, and that's what they like to do, where I think we're with some other groups, they are more kind of, as I stated earlier, involved and want to put on a performance and like sit down and watch the band. And I think we're kind of starting to see that a little more, where the live scene is taken a little more, kind of like you said, like a step above, like, okay, we're kind of going towards a more sit down kind of, like, go there for the music and enjoy the music. Which, is all kind of genre dependent and what the artist wants to do. But I can kind of see it going in that way.
Yeah.
But, it all kind of depends.
I think that, and this is, kind of just maybe obviously a personal opinion, but hopefully something that, I hope becomes a common opinion. I do hope that kind of style of, like you said, focusing on the band, not just, the fun of the music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping for that to become a bigger thing, because right now, we do have a huge lineup for MadFest, and we have a ton of people in Potsdam, but it kind of feels like it's, despite how many people we have, it kind of feels like the local music scene obviously just isn't what it used to be. So I'm hoping that with these new bands that are these new students that are coming in and seeing these artists who are also, they're also different and diverse, they'll start to want to celebrate that local music and not just think, oh, this all sounds the same, this is all stuff I can just, dance to and kind of ignore, but to kind of see everyone as their own individual thing,
Yeah.
We have so many, hip hop artists. I know Evil Sweet is pretty diverse. They have like that, acoustic kind of rock sound with the rap. So that's like something a little bit different. Lone Pine Mall kind of like changes their style up. They have, between the lead, everything is just so different these days.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping with like all these different flavors, it'll kind of push that and get more students to start celebrating it and not just looking at it as like, oh yeah, it's another show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think MadFest is really gonna be a lot bigger than I think honestly we're expecting.
Yeah.
Just because I think, I can't recall another campus event to have that many people involved playing at once. Because like I said, it's like 11 or 12 people. I mean, that is crazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
a long day for us.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be. Oh, yes, it will be. And to look at a lineup like that with all these different artists, I think it gives everyone like a chance, and it gives everyone to kind of showcase what they got and show what Potsdam's got, because there's a lot of good musicians. I mean, not every school can just hold a festival for 12 hours.
Yeah.
That alone is impressive for us to pull off.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for people that are established and people that aren't established. It'll just put out a lot of good exposure, just kind of everywhere. So, yeah.
I think that'll be exciting. Before we continue, it's looking like we have a little bit of a special guest.
It's Ava.
Yes, our Matt Stop E-Board member, CFO, none other than Ava Fisher. We actually were just talking about. Yeah, we were actually just talking about Matt. Would you like to say hello?
Oh, hello! Oh my God! Hello.
So we were just talking about MadFest and talking about how the local music scene we're hoping through MadFest. Maybe we'll have more individual concerts next year, but I think
that would be really good.
But I would really like to. We're just talking about pushing for getting more students to support the local music scene, because I guess local music itself hasn't necessarily been dying out. I feel it's more of the scene itself because so many people who were invested in it graduated, but we have this generation of people who are just so interested.
I also think a lot of that comes with the type of music they play. I think college local music and local music in general gets a bad rep. If you go to I don't know, like a bar or something, typically if someone says, "Oh, we got a local musician there," and it's like one guy, he's probably up there with an acoustic guitar playing, the same kind of songs every night, like, "Oh, free word," whatever. and I think because of that, it kind of gets a bad rep. I think people that hear local music, they inherently think like amateur.
Yeah. Kind of underestimate.
Yeah, and I think that's like kind of a very bad stereotype because there's some fantastic local musicians out there that really are worth their salt that don't get enough exposure and don't get enough attention just because they're quote local musicians.
Yeah.
So.
And it's easy for people to. I feel like that is kind of a stereotype. You're right.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a bit of a stereotype. But before we continue, I just want to give y'all a friendly reminder. You are listening to 90.3 FM WAIH, the way at SUNY Potsdam. You can reach the request line 315-267-2511. Our Facebook is facebook.com/90.3 WAIH. And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 90POINT3 WAIH. As a reminder, I am your host, DJ Right Shoe. We're here with DJ Cry a Lot and our special guest, Ned GREENOUGH. And just a reminder, this is an interview, so things that we may say are not reflective of 90.3 FM and SUNY Potsdam as a whole. And we're also actually just freshly joined by Ava Fisher, MadStop's CFO, saying hello. Yeah. But yes, back to the game. So.
Okay, question. I have one.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
So, how we're Potsdam, we got Crane and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the local music here is completely different than compared to another university, considering the fact that we have so many music students here?
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that because a lot of the local musicians I know that play here aren't Crane students.
Yeah.
I know there's quite a few. But I don't know. I'm not really familiar with other campuses' music scenes. I think having Crane here does kind of bring in an extra kind of flow of talent because of all the things also associated with Crane. Because of Crane, we have a really good, music program and clubs like MadStop, SES. Where students, whether they're involved with Crane or not, have an opportunity to kind of show their creative skills either in a studio or live sense.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, we kind of drive more people, creative people, toward us, kind of giving us, I'd say, I'd like to say we have a better live scene than other places, no offense, but I think we're pretty good,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the other universities. I just know that their focus really isn't very much on music,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I do know, people who either were in Crane who aren't in Crane anymore that perform live, or I know, like you said, not many Craneys that perform live. I do know a few Crane students that have, solo projects where they record and put it online. They don't really do much. Someone actually, I believe his name was 1127. Potsdam Music Business Club just promoted him, but he just dropped, an electronic composition, something, people do stuff like that. They do small projects like that. But I think when it comes to the scene itself, it's kind of just, random people on campus. Some people not even on campus. We have,
Oh yeah.
Visiting bands come in from other, from the high school and from, other universities around. But our music scene's pretty dope, I'd say.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you say local music, is it specifying the university, or would you consider the townies too? Because you never really see townies perform.
That's true. They have There are actually like, not to just, I mean, I'm, kind of involuntarily answering your question because there are, professors here that actually have like little bands. But there are some people in town. I don't think it's as popular, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, Potsdam's a small town.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
true.
grew up in a town that's about the size of Potsdam, definitely smaller, and like there's like 2 bands that everyone knows that are
Yeah.
like these guys that have been doing it for like 20 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if most of our local music does come from the universities and not much in town, just because Potsdam itself, without the university, it's a small town and it's got kind of that small town atmosphere, which is
For
great.
sure, yeah. I think that just in general, local music, I think, I don't know if it's because this place is so small, and I don't know if it's because of the influence of maybe just Crane in general, obviously, not necessarily Crane students, but the influence of the arts on this campus, maybe. But I feel like just in general, all over, we're seeing such a huge influx of up and coming music. I was going to say local, but it's not local to us, but local to their areas, because it's so easy to get your music online these days.
Oh yeah.
So there's a ton of like competition, maybe not in your town, but all over,
Oh yeah, there's
creates a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
But yeah, unfortunately, we do not have all of the answers. But hopefully, maybe in a few years, this town will be hopping with music. I know they do like a little series at Ives Park. It might be cool to try to maybe reach out ourselves over there, maybe get a little acoustic show or something. But
I would love to play in that gazebo.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Just to bring that to the town, because especially with how many different styles we have, we're bound to find a few people who like a little bit of everything. So that'd be fun to reach out. But unfortunately, I don't. I've only I've been. This is my 4th year here, and I don't know much. I still don't know much about town, unfortunately. But
it seems like Maxfields does everything. They do a lot of stuff.
We actually help do sound for the Latin ensemble there. That's huge too. People love that.
People love Latin ensemble. Yeah. It is such a big event.
It's very fun.
A lot of very huge turnout.
Yeah.
Really.
It's huge for P Dam.
So does Mad Stop? Yeah, right. Yeah, Mad Stop. Do you only record students, or do you record like townies too?
We record everyone. Yeah. In fact, the artist, my first artist I ever like headed a project for, was an alumni here that lived in town, and he was like in his 30s, I think.
Nice.
So yeah, we record everybody.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, I believe
come one, come all.
Yeah. Jackson Cavalier. I'm trying to remember. I know we mixed and mastered. Well, I believe Tom mixed and mastered his 2nd album. Yeah. I don't think he recorded that here though, did he? Or maybe he did.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Recorded part of it. I don't remember, but we like to have everybody have the opportunity to reach out. Because we it's $2 an hour per session, and there's a flat rate.
You're never gonna find a studio that charges that much. Cheap. It's around, typically for a small studio, like $100 per session.
Oh wow.
Per hour. Sorry.
Oh.
Depending. Yeah.
Also,
and
sorry. I just wanted to go off that, but should I actually? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just like
recording on YouTube.
Okay. Oh God. Okay.
Guest star right here.
So going off of like local artists, there aren't a lot of local artists, so we do open up recording to local artists, but we don't get a lot of it because we don't have a lot of local artists, and typically if we do, it's alumni from the school. And a lot of our the people that we record tend to be students, and there is a growing number of students that want to record with us. There's a growing number of artists on this campus, which is actually really good. It's really
it's great.
It's really good. People are finding ways to be creative on campus while going here. So I'm gonna scooch back.
It's very exciting. Actually, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, because we have members like Jason Lober who, when he first came here, was going up to, Potsdam Music Business Club and Mad Stop and Wayne being like, I came here just for this because I love the music scene. did you know about Mad Stop when you came here, or did you come here and see, oh, this is a thing? that I
Yes,
could, you
Mad
know?
Stop was one of the reasons why I chose this school.
Nice.
Because I wanted to go into audio engineering
Nice.
and production. And from day one, like the first week, I went to like the
Interest me?
in- what's
I don't
it
know.
called? The
First week, you know,
yeah,
carnival. We have the
that
carnival
thing,
for
yeah.
the, you know,
And
found the
I went to
table,
that and I
partied
talked to
with
them and I just, you know, made sure I went to those 3 meetings to get the membership, you know, and
Yeah.
went on
Make
from
an
there.
impression.
So yeah, and you know, I've been pretty dedicated to it since. So
That's like always exciting to hear, because I actually didn't know that was something you could look into. Like I didn't know any of these places. I came here for Crane, and I found out about these places after, and that, you know, changed my interests from music education to the business world. So when I hear that people came here for that, it's like, oh, you love us. That's so great, you know, and helps us. It's cool that we have like that impression. And as, you know, the marketing chair, I hope to reach out to future students like that as well, and, you know, grow our membership and grow, you know, the local music scene.
Grow it.
So is it kind of also a thought, you know, because you said you want to go into audio engineering and, you know, you're starting to engineer your own projects, which is awesome. Do you plan on, you know, making music your whole life?
oh
you
yeah,
know,
I have to.
on the side, or do you kind of like, do you hope to maybe?
It depends. I mean, I
See
will
where it
always
goes.
do it on the side. For example, like for the next coming years, I'll have a record each year. That I have this very nice cycle where over the summer I demo and write and demo the songs, and then record them over the course, and then release it, and then again.
Good method.
So, and it's just kind of something that now, I don't know, it's just, I have to do it. It's one of those things where I love doing it. And if it's something I'll have to do on a professional level, that's amazing. And if it's not, and it's a side thing, then that's fine too.
Yeah, as
but
long as you're
it's
doing
something
what
that,
you
yeah,
have to.
it keeps me going. It keeps me like, you know, there's always like a goal at hand. Like, okay, this is the record that we're working on now. We got to work on this part. Like, in fact, today, later, I have a recording session to finish up the vocals for a track off the next album.
Nice.
So, which is going to be really cool when that's out, because that's kind of blows the EP out of the water, in my opinion. So, a lot bigger.
We
Everything's
await.
bigger.
We patiently await for this new album to drop. We've heard a few. I mean, you know, just because, you know, there are only 4 songs in the EP. You know, when you play live, we hear a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, how many of, you know, those are still waiting to someday be recorded, and how many would you say are like, right, you know, going to be on the album?
Well, the songs that we play live with it are on the record.
Yeah.
Because I demoed those last summer, and
Nice.
those were the things that I brought to the band that we played. There are some songs that we don't play live that are on the album. There's 9 songs on the album. It's around
Nice.
like 50 some odd minutes, so it's a longer record. And there's also some new songs that we will be playing live that aren't on any albums yet, that potentially might be on a 3rd record way down the road, that we're starting to play, which are some songs that like I wrote a long time ago.
Yeah. That's
that
cool.
that I brought to the band, and we kind of like revived them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they sound really cool. So yeah, and that was kind of one of the big things too when we were playing like the Done Show, for example, is that, you know, it's an EP release show, but an EP is only 4 songs, which is like chances runs at 18 minutes, and that's not a concert. 18 minutes is not a concert. So you know, we practiced a bunch of different songs from the new record, which really helped in the recording process, because we played all those songs live before we even started recording them. And it kind of changed some of the songs from the original demos I had in a positive way. And it also made everyone a lot familiar with it. So when it was time to record them, you know, it was like they've been playing the parts for the past couple months, you know, got pretty good takes pretty quick. It was a lot more efficient, which is good, because the music on this record is a lot more difficult than the stuff off of Chances.
Yeah. And they sound terrific live.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I can only imagine what they'll sound
Yeah,
like
the
on
studio
record.
version's like a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't replicate all my like synthesizer stuff when we're doing it live.
Yeah.
So on the studio version, there's like everything you hear live plus like a bunch of other instruments. There's a song off the record that called Tiger Stripe Lily that we've played live a couple times.
Yeah.
Not too much though. It was kind of not until recently then we started playing it because it's a very hard song that production wise we just pour everything into it. There's like timpani on it. There's like gongs. There's tons of guitar parts. There's tons of keyboard parts. There's just all these crazy like zany things going on. It's wild. It is crazy. And you know, live we can't do all that. You know, we can't have Joey run off the drum set and go hit some timpani and then come back. As great as that would be to see, but but the studio versions really are doing everything justice. And I think live they do it justice too. With Chances it was easier because a lot of the songs on Chances are less produced.
Yeah.
Very kind of stripped down, very piano, occasional guitar, bass, drums, and then maybe a little keyboard. And that's really about it for every single song. Where on the record, it's kind of the complete opposite, where everything is kind of going and there's all these things going on and it's long and it's big. That's kind of the best way to describe it. So
actually, you know, kind of going on, you know, 'cause, you know, I like how passionate you are about, like, you know, hearing how much you're putting into the record. And, you know, out of curiosity, and this is a bit of a loaded question, so I'm kind of going to try my best to word it. So, you know, for FOM, I know that you worked on, and most people probably, you know, most people follow your music. You know that you worked on that, you know, for just doing it in the month. You did a really good job of, you know, having 14 songs that were themed on this, you know, very, I don't know if vintage is the correct word, but, you know, this very like medieval type thing. And for doing it in a month, you know, you did well, and it was very entertaining and,
thank you.
You know, like riveting parts. Out of curiosity, because I know that a lot of your music, they are kind of, you know, with the length that they are and the different, you know, feelings you get through them, the multi movements, they're kind of stories in their own. But do you think in the future you'd ever, you know, work on an album as a whole to tell like a story, you know, working
like a concept album?
Yes. Like working a longer
so
time on
that
it.
is a good question. So my FOM was titled A Story of Excalibur, which is a retelling of like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Part one, I was going to finish it next February, which Lord knows if I'll even do that.
Yeah.
But and it was kind of a way for me to do that because I've always loved concept records. I loved listening to concept records.
Yeah.
The thing with concept records is that they are a very large commitment and they're very hard to write effectively. And with FOM, I found it a good opportunity to, okay, I have 28 days, 14 songs. It has to be that. And I took that as a way to make a concept album without the commitment. You know, you're done with it in a month. You have to be. So I took that as, okay, you know, this would be kind of cool because I would never, ever release a concept album about like King Arthur. Yeah. That's like way over the top for me. But but so it was kind of a way to just kind of make fun of myself and make fun of the music that I listen to. Because I love it. And it's all very like 70s progressive rock inspired, like intentionally. Where like I took a lot of these tropes and it was a lot of fun to make. And that was one of the big reasons why I did it, is because I would love to do a concept album.
Yeah.
But it takes up a lot of time and it takes up a lot more time in the writing process specifically, because you have to make sure everything kind of matches up. And then on top of that, you have to make these motifs and kind of make sure they fade in and fade out well throughout the record. And personally, for studio albums, I don't know if I would do one, only at least right now, not in like while I'm at Potsdam.
Yeah. You know.
In the future maybe, but that's kind of what the FOM is for. That's like my outlet for that, is that I can make these cool, big, bombastic concept albums that are like, okay.
Maybe like wild.
Because, you know, it's 28 days. You just got to finish it within then. So, you know, no one's really going to judge you for it because it was made in a month. You know, they're not going to listen to it and be like, oh, you know, your mix is a little off here. You know, there might be a little plot hole there. It's like, well, it was made in like a month.
Yeah.
chill out. Yeah. So that's kind of my way of doing that, I guess.
But yeah.
So
Would you say, is there anything that, I guess besides, I guess in terms of style, in terms of, the directions you went with your songs, is there anything that influenced your direction of writing, or was it kind of just like an outlet of, getting that stuff out there for the sake of getting it out there, and kind of, I feel like, even just in general, when you do have writer's block, kind of just putting out what's on your mind will help to clear that and kind of let you get a flow of information. But even if you don't have writer's block and you're just kind of doing it on the side for fun, did it in any way kind of dictate where the other side of like your creativity was going? Because you said you already kind of had this interest in concept albums, which is why you did that. Did it inspire anything else that you're currently working on or will be working on?
Yeah, it well, like for inspiration musically, I kind of take a little bit of everything and kind of mesh it together, but also make sure it doesn't sound too much like anything else.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, the worst insult you can ever say to an artist that's like a new artist is listen to their song and say, "Wow, you sound like so and so."
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you can ever tell someone.
That's an
It's terrible. And I always try to avoid that. But yeah, with each album and each recording process and after each like little phase of it, honestly, you take notes and you learn, and it kind of determines how you do it next time.
Yeah.
Doing the FOM for me taught me how to work really fast, really efficiently, and get things done and make them sound all right at a fast pace, which I think was kind of beneficial for me to learn and try with. And also just kind of like reflecting on like what you did last. For example, like over the summer, I'll be demoing and writing for the next album before even this one's released, which is pretty much what I did with Chances and this record. So already I've kind of taken notes of like, I'll do this again. I'm not going to do this again. Like as of right now, I have no idea what the new direction is going to be for the next record.
Yep.
But I want to make it different because you don't want to release the same album over and over again. Too many artists do that.
Yeah.
And when you're this young in the game, you can't really afford to do that. You can't be Greta Van Fleet. But you got to make it different. You got to kind of keep the audience on their toes. Where, if you've released a record and people say, well, I really like that part, take the parts that they like, expand on them, and then the parts they didn't like, maybe don't do that as much to a certain extent. You always kind of got to be true to what, you want to do, and be true to yourself as an artist. That's what's important. As cliche as it sounds, it's very true.
It is.
A lot of people try to be not themselves in their music, and it really shows, and then you have the people say, oh, you sound like so-and-so, and, they're pulling their hair out because, well,
they want to be their own thing, but
exactly.
It's hard to find that balance between, who you want to sound like, but, not sounding too much like them in the original. But yeah, thank you. I just want to say, I like how passionate your responses are.
If I'm rambling, let me know.
Oh no, I'm glad, I'm glad that you are passionate enough to share that, because some people don't, as an artist, people might ask me these similar questions. I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of going for it.
It's kind of going for
cool.
it. Yeah,
it's cool out there's kids around this age. Not to say that we're
we're kids,
young, but it's cool to see fellow college students who are obviously focusing on their work and their classes and their club work, but also simultaneously putting everything into this project.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we do only have a few minutes left because we have our Wave e-board meeting. But on any parting notes, do you have anything that you feel on behalf of yourself or behalf of your music or your co-musician, bandmates, I guess is probably the word I'm trying to use.
Yes.
Do you have any parting messages you'd like to say? Any self-promotion, anything that you're working on recently that, besides your album may be coming out soon, or just any shows you might have lined up?
Yeah, well, next Saturday at 1:00, as I mentioned, Way Day. go see that at Hurley's. We're going to play some new songs.
Yep.
That'll be very cool. And we've got Mad Fest coming up. We're playing at Loco
Yes.
on Market Street.
April 27th.
Where, we'll be playing outside, which will be cool. Outside, I love outside venues.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Very summery.
And keep an eye out for the new record in September. And if you haven't already, definitely check out Chances by myself. That's Ned Greenough. It's on all streaming services and, iTunes, Bandcamp as well. If you're really, into supporting the OG.
Into the indie. Indie
Apple Music,
rock.
iTunes, Spotify, all that much. And, I'd like, and just kind of as a part, I really like to thank my band members. They're great people. My parents for always supporting me. And, come see a show and maybe go listen to a record. You won't be disappointed.
Support Potsdam creativity.
Yes.
Try something new. Try something you haven't heard before.
Yeah.
You'll probably love it.
Try something with 3 synthesizers on stage. You can't go wrong with that.
The true Potsdam groove.
Yes.
The groove I think most of us secretly have always wanted of the 2 keyboards. Well, all right. We're going to have to shut down, but thank you for coming. Marissa, thank you for co-hosting. Ava, thank you for popping in. Our baby girl. And all right. Keep it locked on the way.